I remember I got clicked auto start next time. So I gotta worry about it. Now, hopefully, unlike last time, we won't automatically just go to the thing. Let me click this. Go here. And we are going to let's swing over to Discord real quick. Just last minute things, you know?
oldarmyplays said test.
Yep, okay, it works. Open up Discord real quick. Go up in here. So we're gonna go in here, go to stream. App. New stream. Thing. So there's that goes. And then we were all good over here. Go over here. Give myself a like because I like myself. Where else I can check to? Check. Okay, so like last time, guys, I'm going to be here making the game. Like I said, I made this and it's pretty cool so far. This would be technically like day 4 working with this. Day 4 working on learning how to make a game. What the heck? OBS? What's going on with OBS? So OBS decided to disconnect. Why is it disconnecting? Anyways. Close that. Okay, so we should be good. Okay, like I was saying, so we're going to be focusing on over here. Well, at the same time, we are going to be there. Make sure that's actually fitting the screen. So we're going to be focusing on this, on trying to, I think I said that like 3 times already. What are we going to do today? We are going to be making, I think, enemies today. We're going to be putting enemies into the game. So we're going to learn how to do that today, and we will see how it goes. So as I was saying, I'm going to be working here, but I'm going to be focusing on my phone because that's where the tutorial is at that's helping me. And we'll go from there. So let's get into it. Oh yeah. So, let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so first thing we're going to do Okay, so we're gonna go with player. We're gonna go with object. Then press letter R. So when we game restart, and restart it. Well, I got too many things going on in my ears, so I'm going to actually mute that down. So, go here. So next thing we're going to do is start adding in enemy sprites. Okay, so we're gonna have to add in some sprites. So, create, go to sprite, import, let's see, S enemy.
Botrix said Botrix has correctly joined the channel.
Open. Yes, S enemy. That's going to be our enemy. So, going to keep it in, and we're going to put S enemy. Let me see. S. We'll put lower S, capital E, and
Big Jake said, hey bro, I'm here.
what's good, Big Jake? What is good? Give me 1 second. How you doing, Big Jake? Rosie. S enemy. And put that sprite in. And then we're gonna go over here. We're going to put create a new sprite. Import image. Put S enemy. Yes, an S enemy strip. This one right here. Yes, put that in.
Big Jake said, well, Auntie Carrie came and sat with me. They taught me how to deal with my anxiety.
That's good. That is real good, Big Jake. S enemy run. I'll put that in real quick. So that's awesome, you know, you just have to learn how to sometimes deal with it. Right there. So I can have some sort of music going. What else was I putting in? Hold on. We have S enemy dead. So I'm gonna go here, type in sprite, import enemy dead, open, click 2, S enemy dead. Okay, so now we imported all of those. So, last one. That's enemy A, we gotta put that in. Right. Okay, so now we're going to that's enemy A. So now we're going to do all that. So now the next thing we're going to do we're going to create a assets. Okay, so so we're right click the player, duplicate, go enemy, so we're gonna go here to and collision mask to that's enemy. And so go here. Now we're gonna go here. So now we're going to go X, cut. So, and go here. Okay, so now we're going here. We're going to create this. Okay, so we're going to replace a few things here. So, going to replace this with S enemy. Boop, boop, boop. S enemy. Okay, so it's going a little fast here. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be replacing all of the player, everything that here's from the player. All we do is just copy everything from the player over to S enemy, or to the enemy. So he'll basically be able to do with the player. So he'll be able to react and everything like that nature. So let me see. So we're going to go here. We're doing S enemy. So S enemy. Nope, did not want to do that. So S-E-N-E-M-Y, enemy. S enemy. And then we're going to do this. Copy that. Make it easier for everything. Anything that says player, we're going to be replacing with enemy. Enemy R. That's enemy run. Okay. And then let me see. Another one. That's player jump. So it's going to be S enemy. I think A, right? I think I did this one wrong, so we're going to go back and fix that here in the time. That's enemy A. Capitalize A. Cool. And then let's go to S enemy A. Okay, so first and foremost, we gotta put this mid-center, keep this at 60 frames per second, and we're going to edit the image. How do I rotate? We are trying to rotate this thing, right? So, how do we do that? Airbrush, flip tool, rotate brush? How do I rotate? Okay, so that's not doing nothing. Control Z, Control Z. Oh. Click here. Click and drag rotate brush. Nope. Let's click here. I don't know. It's sometimes hard to figure this out. We're gonna go here. Let's go back a bit. Okay, so we got duplicate. let's go here. Let's check this out real quick. Ah, that's what I didn't do. Okay, hold on. That's enemy A needs to be import image. Import. This one. Yes, replace. Cool. I mean, okay. So we got that all set up, I think. Player. Yep. Gonna be Control V. That's enemy. Shift A. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Control Z. Control Z. Nope, 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 nope. This has got to still be, because we're in the player. This is a player event. So, what was it? S player jump, right? S underscore player. S player jump. That's one. We gotta go to here. There it is. So we cut out everything here. So we're doing all this so we can act as like a player, but not, we won't have any control over him. We do all these things. Oh, flies! Hate flies. Can't stand flies. What's up, Big Jake? So how are you doing today, man? So yeah, it's all good. It'd be somewhat of a dummy here. Okay, so that's something. So trying to learn this. So we're going to do this. Okay. So now we replaced all of these things. We're going to move on to the next thing. I'm just trying to catch up real quick.
Big Jake said sorry bro, I got cut off right there. I'm doing alright after since Santi showed me how to deal with his anxiety. I'm doing okay.
That's good, man. So okay, so we're gonna here. What is it? Shift. Go ahead, hit delete. And Alt. Oh wait, is it? Let me go here. Gotta make some more walls, right? And then why can't I add this to? Hold on. So we gotta. Hold on. on the wall. Okay. Click wall object. And make ourselves a little bit more of an interesting shift. Go over here. Make our level just a little bit more flat. Complete. Like this. Here. Oh, no. Delete this. And then we're gonna go shift. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 up. Okay. Now we're gonna drag some enemy players. Oop, nope, cancel. Boom, boom, boom. Excuse me. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. And boom. Okay. So let's go here. Let's try running it real fast. Nice. Got them in there so far. Okay, cool. Create event. So we're gonna add some more variables real quick. Here. HP equals 4. Now we're gonna add flash. So flash. Okay. So basically this right here is going to, well, this right here is horizontal. Maybe you guys remember this one here is horizontal spacing. This one right here is vertical spacing. This one right here is gravity. This one right here is walk speed. We're not adding this into the enemy right here, which is HP, which is going to take 4 hits, which is HP like hit points. And then flash, how many times they get flashed before they actually pass away. So you have a registration of knowing of what you're hitting and who you're hitting. That's what each piece of this code means. Okay, so we're gonna go here. Okay, now we're gonna go to our bullet object. Okay, we're adding an event. Legend object. Enemy. So this is, so obviously we can actually hit the enemy, otherwise it's just standing there and we're not doing anything. So we're gonna go here. With here, hold on one second. Still watching.
This is World of Warcraft, but there's no classes because there's archetypes instead, and
Mute. Yep. Unmute. Go back here. Now what are we doing with this with statement right here? I don't know yet, so we'll find out. Let's see. Other the bracket. Okay, so we're gonna type in other. This is also, you can have hit animation with the enemy with collision. I'm gonna go over here, make this. Go down to spaces, go here, put that. Now remember, within these brackets, see how there's a line pop over here? Basically, we're not gonna make the whatever the instance happen right here in between. So basically, with other, which would be other, the other asset at an instant enemy. This asset. So we're gonna go here. So with this asset right here, we're gonna type in right here in the middle. It's gonna let us know exactly what we're going to be doing. So this will basically trigger this particular event. P equals HP minus 1. So yeah, that'd be a way of doing that right there. Then we're gonna go here, and now we're gonna go here and put in flash equals 3. Okay, now we're gonna go here. Now we're gonna type in instance. Now we're gonna type in instance, INST, AN, E, instance destroy, and then close it. So now if we look at what we've done, yeah, see, now we actually can hit them. Okay, so let's go back here. Let me go here real quick. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm gonna zip. Make sure everything's still going good on the stream. Go here, go here. Still good. Let me go over into this. Let's see. Let's do it here. Let's do it here. Just making sure we're still good over here. Just making sure we're still good over here. Still kind of new to it. Been doing the streaming thing for all of a few months, and I'm still not good at it yet. I gotta figure it out. But it is what it is, you know? Sure. So here. Go here. Wait. Okay. So we're gonna go over to our clicking shaders, click create, and create a shader. Wow. And he told straight up said don't panic because this is crazy. SH White. So we're gonna do this. So he's explaining basically what the shader is. Excuse me. Okay. So enemy. I think we gotta put this center. Just make sure I have everything mid center. Mid center. Okay. So you wanna one line shader? Okay. I'm gonna go over here. Nope. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. Ow. So so you know what I'm going to do? Because this is pretty interesting. I'm going to go here. Let me see. No, you're at one of the times where you're trying to, like, your nose is just like wants to sneeze, but you're not exactly ready to sneeze. That type of stuff. Go here, pull this up.
Okay, this isn't. You don't need anything in here.
This is what I'm doing.
Fragment shader, which basically.
Okay, so this is basically what I'm doing here. You guys can't see it, but you'll be able to hear it finally. So I'll actually be able to talk to you guys and tell you what I'm doing. I'm not sure if this is going to get muted or if this is what's going to happen on YouTube, but let's just test it out. Put that down. Let's try for the day at least. So, go back.
But take into account the alpha or the transparency. Okay, so it'll still draw the silhouette of the sprite, but it'll just draw it all in one.
This is basically my tutorial that I'm using.
This is just a one-line shader. I'm not really going to explain exactly everything about how this works because shaders, as I say, they're a bit complicated. Probably not really ready to dive into them headfirst yet. But hopefully this will give you a bit of an understanding of what they do and what you can use them for, so that later on you can do your own research and maybe learn how to use shaders in more complex, interesting ways. Okay, so all I want you to do is come into the shader that you just made, SH White, okay, and you'll see there's two tabs at the top here, one called .vsh and the other one called .fsh. And you can see at the top they're called Vertex and Fragment Shader. Completely ignore the Vertex one, okay, this isn't, you don't need anything in here. we want the fragment shader, which basically determines how we draw every single pixel, okay? Like each specific pixel of the texture, how do we want to draw it, and we can affect the color and the position of that pixel and all sorts of stuff.
This is how I basically have been learning how to do this.
Is
step by
this
step.
is our default way of drawing, right? So this is like copied the color of the pixel that we're going to draw. All this nonsense here, all this is doing is passing the color of a given pixel in the sprite and passing it through to be drawn. So what we're going to do is manipulate that, take away all of the other color, just set all the colors to maximum, which will give us a white color, other than the alpha, other than the transparency, okay? So don't worry too much if you don't understand this line, but as I said, I've just said what it does, which is I'm just going to take, I'm going to maximize our red channel, our green channel, and our blue channel, giving us 255, 255, 255, red, green, blue, and you put all those together on a monitor, that gives you a white pixel, okay? So that's all I'm going to do. By creating a vec4, open bracket, 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, okay? So that's our red, green, blue, okay? And then our fourth part, because it's the vector 4, is the alpha, or the transparency, which we just want to keep the same. And it's already been set in here, so I'm just going to copy that GL drag.
Vec4 we're going to put right here 1.0 comma. I'm going to do that 3 times. So 1.0 comma 1.0 comma 1.0 comma. So we do that. Then we're going to go hit EL underscore frag. What he said?
Color dot A, okay, and that returns the alpha.
So it's going to be. Whoop! Hit the wrong thing. EL. It's going to be frag. G. Frag. Color. You know what's crazy? Thinking about it truly. Capitalization matters. Especially when it comes to things like this, coding, things like that. And coming from a guy who really just kind of writes things, don't really care too much about capitalization, that's insane. But I mean, this is a new world that I'm stepping into. Frag color A.
Part of this pixel color, okay? Now let me show you how to actually use this shader. If I just go into our enemy object, I'm going to add the draw event, okay? So I don't think we've used the draw event yet.
Okay, so now we got to go
vec4, open bracket, 1.0, 1.0, 1.0, okay? So that's our red, green, blue, okay? And then our fourth part is the vector 4,
enemy object,
alpha, or the transparency, which we just want to keep the same. And it's already been set in here, so I'm just going to copy that GL frag color dot A, okay, and that returns the alpha part of this pixel color, okay?
Well, that's how that goes.
Now let me show you how to actually use this shader. If I just go into our enemy object, I'm going to add the draw event, okay? So I don't think we've used the draw event yet. The draw event determines how an object is actually drawn or rendered to the screen, okay? How any instance is drawn. It very much like shaders, it has its own, is the alpha, or the transparency, which we just want to keep the same. And it's already been set in here, so I'm just going to copy that GL frag color dot A, okay, and that returns the alpha.
So what you thinking over there, Big J? How things are going on with you?
Color, okay?
So we're going to do this. So we're going over to the GL.
Now, let me show you how to actually use
GL frag color A.
If I just go into our enemy object, I'm going to add the draw event. Okay, so I don't think we've used the draw event yet. The draw event determines how an object is actually drawn or rendered to the screen. Okay, how any instance is drawn. It very much like shaders, it has its own way of doing things by default. And if you don't have a draw event, the instance will just draw itself normally based on any position, height, angle, and stuff that you've given it. But if you create your own draw event, it ignores that. Okay, it ignores everything and it replaces it
Big
with
Jake
whatever
said,
you
don't
put
know if I
in
lost
here.
more
So
weight,
if I
bro,
was just
but I'll see when I go back to the doctors I've been eating.
Okay, that's good. I mean, as long as you keep, remember, like I always said, when it comes to things like that, when it comes to things you want to do, like weight loss or trying to make a game, you have to actively keep your mind on it and keep pushing for it. But you can do it. You definitely can. Just like I'm trying to learn how to make a game right now. You definitely can do it. Things that seem impossible, you can always do. You just have to sit down and actually try. You know? That's basically what it comes down to, what I say. Anything you want to do, all you have to do is sit down and actually try. Okay, Big Jake?
Just to change this to like draw text and start drawing some text and stuff on the screen, it would draw the text, but it wouldn't draw our enemy anymore. But we still want to draw our enemy, so I'm going to type a line called draw_self. So this here, this line is what usually gets run. So by putting a draw event and putting draw self in it, you've replaced the default draw step with the exact same thing. Okay, this is what the draw event would normally do if you didn't have a draw event. Okay, just draws itself with its given angle, its given position, its given transparency, and so on and so forth.
Big Jake said, okay, bro, I hear you on that one.
Such as set up a shader. That's what I'm going to do with shader_set. Okay, we're just going to turn on a given shader, which changes the way we're currently drawing to the screen. The shader we're going to use is sh white, and then we're going to draw the sprite now that the shader has been set. And afterwards, I'm going to type shader reset, which just sets us back to our default way of drawing. If we left it on, everything on the screen would be white. We won't.
So now we got to set shader. So now we got to do this over here. We're going to type in shader. SHA. That's my ADD kicking in. I'm staring directly at it and I'm just kind of like floating. This happens sometimes with me. Like, it happens with me a lot of times. I start looking at something and then I kind of just like off to my own little world. I'm not even trying to do it. It just happens. SH. Let's see. What is it again? HWH. What did I say? Shader. WHI. Yeah, okay, I had it right. WHI. WH. I have a spell. Then we're gonna go down here. We gotta close. Always remember close off bracket. Then we're gonna go below it. I'm gonna type in shader reset. So we're gonna go here and type in shader reset.
Big Jake asks, so how are you maintaining your weight, bro?
Honestly, Big Jake, when it comes to me, my weight, I just eat a certain amount, and that's really what it comes down to. SH reset. Reset. Like, I do go out, I walk and things like that, but it's just kind of like I just kind of stay by I just kind of eat a certain amount. That's what I do. Okay, so let's go here.
So if I run the game now, we should notice that all the enemies just turn into white silhouettes like that. They still behave the same, they're still moving everything, but they are complete white silhouettes because all of their color is being ignored and just being set to 1, but their alpha is being kept the same, so we still get the outline
better than what we had
of the sprite, okay? But we don't want them white all the time, okay? So how do we make it so they're only white some of the time? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to draw that white copy over the top of the enemy when we should be flashing. We already know when we should be flashing because when the bullet hits us, we go to the bullet collision event, it sets flash to 3. It's a very specific number, but you'll see why it's 3 rather than say 1 or true in a moment, okay? And by default, flash is 0. So what we're going to do is, first of all, at the top here, I'm just going to add another draw self, okay? This is going to be our basic, just drawing of
Big
the sprite,
Jake said,
okay?
by
No
the
shader
way,
set or
didn't
anything,
I
so
tell
we'll just
you
draw.
already? I'm going to Disneyland for my birthday, the place we haven't been a while.
Oh, not yeah. You told me Jackie was gonna take you. I believe is what you said. So we're doing draw self here. Put that right here. Boom, boom, and close bracket.
Draw the sprite just as he is, okay? Just this little dude
So
with
yeah.
this red top. And we're going to leave that alone. We're not going to do anything to that. Then
I'll leave that
underneath,
alone.
we're going to type if flash
Another if
greater
statement.
than 0.
If
Okay, which we know is true if we've been hit by a bullet.
flash.
Then I'm going to do this stuff again, where we draw the sprite again. So we draw it a second time, meaning it'll draw over the top of our
Greater than 0.
original sprite. Okay, because you think about how we do it in order. If you drew something on a piece of paper and then you drew something again later, you would draw that over the top of the original thing, right? That's what we're doing here. So and we've got the shader
now remember,
as we do here. So
now remember, guys, as we've been continuing going on.
Big Jake said yes. Jackie is gonna take me.
Yeah, I remember. So remember, Big Jake. Remember, as we were going along, what an if statement is basically. So, let me rephrase that. With this if statement, anything that I would type in here is the action that's going to happen, or the instance that's actually going to happen. So always remember that. I'm saying that so I can remember it myself. I'm learning and teaching. I'm learning and stating what he is stating, and so I can teach outside of that stuff, so it helps me learn better. So, let's continue.
The problem is now that when you get hit by a bullet, your flash gets set to 3, but it never goes back to 0. So all we need to do is, if flash is over 0, subtract 1 from it every frame, or every time we come through this event, which is once every frame. The draw event, just like the step event, happens once every frame because it happens every time the instance is actually drawn. Okay.
Flash.
So by just doing minus here, which again is subtracting 1, flash reduces from 3 to 2 to 1 and then to 0, meaning that this will happen 3 times every single time we get a hit. So for 3 frames, our enemy should flash white and then return to normal when it's
That's pretty interesting.
So let's see if that works how we want it to
here?
now. Yeah, so you can see the bullets hitting the dudes now actually makes them kind of flash a white color. So you may have noticed our enemies don't actually, they don't move around or do anything particularly super interesting yet. They're still just dummies. And I'm going to leave them that way for now, just because it makes it easier for us to test this stuff and kind of get the visuals and everything on our enemy working.
So that's pretty interesting.
First.
That's pretty cool.
The actual moving around of the enemy is actually really straightforward, so we'll kind of just do that
here.
Probably as our last thing. And for now, it just makes it easier for us going forward if they just stay still. The next thing we're actually going to do is look at creating a bit of permanence, so we'll give them a little dead body that appears when they get destroyed, and actually make it so they can be destroyed and they're not invincible as they are now, because they've got 5 hit points, 4 hit points rather, and they take damage and it just goes under 0, but then just keeps going negative forever. So we'll change that.
Okay, so we're gonna go.
But before we do that specific thing, we're just gonna create the actual dead body itself first. In order to do that, what I'm gonna do is go into our enemy object. Actually, even though I just closed it, I'm gonna copy from the gravity line here, VSP equals VSP plus grav, the thing that deals like gravity, all the way down to the bottom of vertical collision. I'm just going to copy this, because this is a very useful chunk of code here. It's almost worth putting it into a script.
We're copying.
We change white color damage and it just goes all the way down to y equals y plus VSP. Okay, so
basically everything.
Gravity, horizontal collision, and vertical collision. Right click in objects, hit create, call this odead. Okay. Set the sprite to be senemy D, add an event, add the step event, and just paste that in. But this is going to be working properly first.
Okay.
The actual moving around of the enemy is actually really straightforward, so we'll kind of just do that probably as our last thing. and for now it just makes it easier for us
So we're
going
gonna
forward
go
if they just
here.
stay still. The next thing we're actually going to do is look at creating a bit of
object.
permanence, so we'll give them a little dead body that appears when they get destroyed, and actually make it so they can be destroyed and they're not invincible as they are now, because they've got 4 hit points rather, and they take damage and it just goes under 0, but then just keeps going negative forever. So we'll change that.
I go here.
But before we do that specific
Here,
thing, we're
you
just going to
said
create the
create-
actual dead
What's
body
the event?
itself first. In order to do that, well, I'm going to copy from the gravity line here, VSP equals VSP
All the way
plus
down
grav,
to
feels
which
like
I
gravity,
did. Yeah.
all the way down to the bottom of vertical collision. I'm just going to copy this, because this is a very useful chunk of code here. It's almost worth putting it into a script, but we change bits of this around enough, but between objects, that we probably don't want to do that. But this is very useful because this is just our basic collision thing, and it's useful just to have, and we're going to use that in our dead person object. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna create an object that acts as the corpse for the enemy. We're gonna kind of like chuck it with a bit of physics, and then stop doing the physics once we like land on the floor and we don't have to anymore. Okay, just to save us processing time.
Enemy.
So right click on objects now. After copying again this chunk of code from VSP equals VSP plus grav all the way down to y equals y plus VSP. Okay, so gravity, horizontal collision, and vertical collision. Right click on objects, hit create, call this oDead. Okay, set sprite to be s enemy d. Add an event, add the step event, and just paste that.
Dead.
Now, obviously, this chunk of code is working with some variables that don't yet exist in this object, so we've only copied the step event. So let's add the create event as well, and just add HSP, and we're going to actually give these some default values. So it equals 3. VSP can equal -4, and our gravity, we'll just keep that the same as everything else, just so it looks kind of consistent, right?
Let's stop for a second. We're going to hit, it's going to say HSP, that's not thing, HSP, let's see, equals 3, close bracket, the wrong thing, close bracket, VSP, vertical, so horizontal speed, HSP, VSP, vertical speed. Vertical speed equals -4, and then GRV, which is gravity. Gravity is 0. Oops. Gotta put equals 0.3. And you gotta hit close bracket. I remember always remember the little thing with the dot and the cross is saying basically close. So we're gonna go here.
I'm gonna add done equals 0, and you'll find out what we use that for.
Okay, so I'm gonna type in and put done equals 0. And I did something I wasn't supposed to. Where was I at?
Okay, and by default flash is 0.
See.
So what we're going to do is, first of all, 0. At the top here, I'm just going to add another draw self, okay? This is going to be our basic, just drawing come through. Super interesting. Yeah, very useful chunk of add the step event and just paste from the offset, so that when we create this, we can equal -4, and our gravity, we'll just keep that the same as everything else, just so it looks kind of consistent, right? I'm also going to add done equals 0, and you'll find out what we use that for in a minute. But you'll notice instead of setting HSP to 0 and VSP to 0 just to declare them, I've given them default values on the from the offset, so that when we create this this dead thing for the first time, when it's the enemy, it's already moving, and it'll just sort of like -4, so it'll go up a bit, and HSP is 3, so it'll go to the left a bit, and kind of like an arc, and then the gravity will pull it down. So it kind of like does a little arc and then lands, okay, which is kind of what we want.
Okay, so that's not half bad.
The other thing to do in here is also add image speed equals 0, because we want to control the sprite of this the frame directly, because the enemy
image
dead sprite is 2 frames. It's going up and falling. Well, actually no, not
0.
really even going up and coming down. It's in the air and then on the floor. Okay, so once we're on the floor, we just use that one.
Okay.
Okay, pretty straightforward. So let's come back to ODead now. So scrolling through the workspace. So by setting image speed to 0, our default image index will be 0. It won't animate, so it'll just stay on this sprite, and then we can just set it to the other sprite when we need to, just by setting image index equal 1. Okay, we won't do that just yet. So come back to our step event now, and what I want you to do is just wrap this entire section in an if statement, and it's going to be if done equals 1. Okay, open the squiggly bracket and then put another squiggly bracket right at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to select everything in between and just press tab just to kind of give us our same indentation that we kind of use for everything else.
So we're going to wrap the entire thing in an if statement?
Up to you if you do that.
So we wrap the entire thing in an if statement. So if done that's plus equals 1, and go down here, put in this squiggly line, go all the way down here, put in this squiggly line.
Do that, but I would advise it. So what that's going to mean is, oh sorry, it shouldn't be if done equals 1, it should be if it's equals 0. Sorry about that. So basically what this means is by setting done to 0 here in create, it'll start off doing all of this collision stuff, and then once the body hits the ground, okay, we don't need to do that anymore. So in our vertical collision here, if we find a collision where we're about to go, we can type if VSP greater than 0, so if we're moving down, done equals 1. Okay, so if we found a vertical collision and we're moving down because we're moving higher.
Okay, so go here, boom, space, and put an if statement here, I guess. If boom, vertical speed VSP is greater than 0, be done equals 1.
Vertical speed than 0, our gravity will see to that, then set done to 1, and then once that's done, it'll still do all this, but then once it finishes that particular loop of this step event, it'll never do any of this again, because done will be 1 and no longer 0, and it'll have no way to get back to 0, so we skip all of this so we don't have to do any collision checks just constantly over and over, because, you know, collision checks can be slow. So that stops us having to do them once the object is done doing its little movement at the start. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put it here because this is probably the best place to do it. Instead of putting it on one line, I'm going to open squiggly brackets just like that, and under done equals 1. I could have just.
Okay, so I'm going to text this. He said he wants to make a space, up, squiggly bracket. I figured that was going to happen. Space, squiggly bracket, close.
Set this outside of this, but I think it's cleaner just to do it.
So I figured not have that.
Once. Image underscore index to equal 1, and that'll set us to.
So we're going to put image, Jesus. Image, keep doing it. Right.
And they take down equals 0 in an if statement, and there's going to be if do them once the object is done doing its little movement at the
right
start.
here.
Okay.
The image
The other thing I'm
alpha?
going to do actually is I'm going to put it here because this is probably the best place to do it. Instead of putting it on one line, I'm going to open squiggly brackets just like that, and underdone equals 1. I could have just set this outside of this, but I think it's cleaner just to do it in here, so we only set it once. Image underscore index to equal 1, and that'll set us to the sprite that we actually want to use, which is the other dead sprite on the floor. Okay.
Equals.
So we can probably test this now. I mean, we've created this object. We don't actually have any way of dynamically creating the dead object yet. Like these enemies, they still don't have a way to die. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete a handful of them and just replace them with our dead object, just so we can see.
So hold on 1 second. It says so line 24. Assessing operation expectation. So what did I do? Let's go here.
Slow. So that stops us having to do them once the object is done doing its little movement at the start. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put it here. This is probably the best place to do it. Instead of putting it on one line, I'm going to open squiggly brackets just like that, and underdone equals 1. I could have just set this outside.
Sarah Wild said 1 equals not 2 equals.
And they set it once.
Wait, what? 1 equals not 2 equals? Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Sarah Wild said you have done equals 1.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was wondering
Sarah
what was
Wild
going
said
on.
should be done equals 1.
Yeah, thank you. That helps me out so much. Thank you very much, Sarah. What would you call it? Thank you. It's my first time ever. I'm trying to learn this, so thank you very much.
Image underscore index to equal 1, and that'll set us to the sprite that we actually want to use, which is the other dead sprite on the floor. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we can probably test this now. I mean, we've created this object. We don't actually have any way of dynamically creating the dead object yet.
Okay.
Like these enemies, they still don't have a way to die. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete a handful of them and just replace them with our dead object, just so we can see it working off the bat. So if I run that now, yeah. So if I just hit restart, you can see that's what's going to get created when. And you see, like, if a guy was shot here, somehow floating in the air, they turn left and they just kind of fall. They go up a little first, and then they fall and kind of land like that. Okay. So let's actually make it so that our enemies can be killed. Okay. So let's come into our enemy object. I'm gonna add the begin step event. The reason I'm gonna do it in the begin step event, I'm not sure if this is the cleanest way to structure this. Really, lots of different begin step stuff, but it works for what we want to achieve. So in the begin step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if HP is less than or equal to 0, okay? So that's similar, less than or equal to, so if it's 0 or if it's less than 0, do the following, which is we're going to kill the enemy.
Okay, so if HP is greater space greater equals space 0. Yeah, do that, and then we go here, boom, so we make sure we put the if is a statement, so when things go inside here we know that that's happened. So if this happens, this happens.
Right. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we can just, at the bottom, just do straight up instance destroy, which is going to get rid of our enemy object. But at the same time, we're going to do instance underscore create underscore layer, okay? Open bracket.
So we're gonna go here. Type in instance destroy
Sarah
instance.
Wild said equals or. Equals are used in if statements, as in is equals or not equals, two words so expect two symbols, and done becomes one, becomes means the equals sign, one word one symbol.
Okay. So or equals if the are using if statements if a as in is equals or not equals two words so expect two symbols and done becomes one because it means the sign means the equal sign is one word symbol. Oh, okay. So basically the equal sign is like one, it's like he said, it's just one word in the code.
Sarah Wild said
Okay.
when you create a squiggly bracket, always tab in so you can see what is nested and what isn't.
Always tab in. Okay. Okay, I definitely will do that. I'm gonna use a squiggly bracket and make sure I always tab in. Tab in. So it's like, I'm just gonna see what you mean exactly like. So if I use a squiggly bracket, so I squiggly. Oh yeah, so you make a space so you know what is what and what's inside of it and what is not inside of it. That's what we mean by nested in. Okay. Yeah. So when you use a squiggly bracket, you space it out to know what's inside the squiggly bracket, so it's not all one giant cut. It's not all one giant word, and you're not just trying to figure out later on what is what. Yeah. Okay, I got exactly what you're saying.
Sarah Wild said so the word instance should be tabbed over one.
Yeah. So the word instance should be like that then. Okay. Yeah, I got you. So you want to boom, tab it over, see what's inside and everything like that. Okay, I got you. Thank you very much, Sarah. It helps me out so much. You have no idea. So create. So this was create, or no, this was a destroy.
Sarah Wild
action.
said yeah. You can see what is in stuff easier.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Let me see. So it's gonna be the destroy instance, and then he went here to 3. We're gonna tab over. And this one's gonna be the instance create. Instance. Boom. Wrong thing. And then create. So CR create layer brackets.
This allows us to create a new instance dynamically, just as we did
typing in
with
the
our
brackets
bullets.
here.
Create. I'm gonna put them. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them on the same layer as the enemy for now. So X, Y. The layer is just gonna be layer. So yeah, we'll just leave them on the same layer.
Okay, so XY layer.
We'll call them O dead.
Okay, so it's gonna be type in here. X, comma, Y, comma, layer, comma, O, dead. Yeah. And then we're gonna go here. Oh, that's the wrong thing again. Close. I'm gonna make a space for that right there. Okay.
Okay, that's the instance that we want to make. That's the object that we want to make instances
That's not half bad.
rather. Okay, so now when our HP reaches 0, these enemies should turn into these dead bodies. So let's place some enemies back
them in a room.
into the room now, just so we can kind of see if this works.
Okay, let's open
So
Brave.
here I am. Let's shoot some of these. Yep, so you flash a few times, and then
Yes.
turn into...
Sarah Wild said line 5 you need a semicolon.
You'll notice though, they all
Line
fall to the
5.
right, which
You're
looks
right.
fine when I'm shooting them
You're
from
right.
the right, but if I come to the left of these guys now, shoot them, they kind of fall towards you, which, you know, it can look fine as well, But the problem is when they all consistently fall like that, it's pretty noticeable after you start shooting things. If you notice that every single enemy always falls to the right no matter which side you shoot them
So
from.
I'll go here one more
So
time.
we're going to manipulate it, and we're going to make it so that instead of just having that fixed HSP equals 4 and VSP equals -3 at the start, we kind of change that based on the direction that you were last hit from by a bullet, okay? Okay, so let's close this now. Come back to the workspace. Let's go to our ODEAD object again.
ODEAD object.
Go to the create event. I'm just going to reset these back to 0, okay? Even though that was giving us our speed to begin with, we're going to set our speed a bit differently instead. But we still need to declare those variables, so make sure you still leave those lines in, just set them to 0, okay? And we're going to add a new variable to our enemy object. So go to your enemy object, go to the create event, and add hit from, okay? And just set it to 0 for now. What we're going to do is use hit from to store the direction we were last hit from. So every time we get hit by a bullet, we'll update this variable to be the direction that we were hit, the direction of that bullet, okay? So whichever direction that bullet was heading in will become our last hit from direction. So now let's go to our bullet object, okay, and where we collide with the enemy. So at the moment we just set HP ---- and flash equal 3. So in here where we're manipulating variables to do with the enemy, we're going to change that hit stop variable that we just declared to equal other.direction. Now I'm gonna
Okay, so now we're going to type in. So let's see. Hit stop equals. That's a plus sign. Equals other. Other dot DIREC. Other direction. And then semicolon. I keep doing that. Semicolon.
Not a minute ago, quite a while ago in the video, I said that other, when used in a collision event, returns the other, returns the exact instance that you collided with, right? But inside of a with statement, and by inside I mean within these curly brackets, the other statement changes to mean the ID of the instance that called the with statement. So it's kind of doing other in kind of a way, like a double other. So now that refers back to the bullet. Okay, so we've come full circle. So we've gone we've come full circle, and we're gonna get the current direction.
Oh, Sarah, how are you doing? How are you doing?
And we're gonna apply that.
Thank you for stopping in. If you're still here, I'm gonna say thank you for stopping in and helping me out. It's my first time ever doing this.
That it took. That's the
trying to learn as much as I possibly can. You know.
Entirely. Hit from is the name of that variable. Let me just check I named that correctly in enemy. I did hit from equals 0. Yeah, don't call it hit stop. Call it hit from. That'd be a silly error. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Sarah Wild said, I don't know GameMaker. I know see which GameMaker is based on. Sarah Wild said, I am doing okay.
Hit from, not hit stop. That's what he said. It's a silly mistake. That's good. Now, what you call it? I don't know anything about game making. I don't know nothing about GameMaker. This is my first game that I'm actually making, as you can tell from the tutorial that I'm actually reading. But I was inspired to try and do it.
Well, in order to do that, I've come back to our enemy object. Okay, back to the begin step where we actually perform the destruction of the enemy itself, and where we replace it with an ODEAD rather than an OEnemy. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate that ODEAD, and I can do that by typing with here, opening a bracket, and closing that bracket around our instance create layer line. I think we've used this before when we were creating bullets with the gun.
So we're going to do
what this does is basically it's going to return the exact instance ID of that instance of ODEAD that we've just created, and we're going to run some code on the thing that we've just made, okay? So what we're going to do is, even though it's already run its create event by the time we've run this line, and it's set like direction and HSP and all that stuff to 0, once it's applied that, we're going to overwrite some of that stuff based on the directions that we want to use. Okay, so I'm going to type direction equals other dot hit from. Okay, so again, calling other within the with statement refers back to this instance. Okay, so the enemy's hit from is
direction. We're gonna put other. I did that again. Other direction equals space. Other. So dot hit from.
It's going to apply to the direction of our dead instance that's being made, right? But how does that help us? Well, what we can do is we can set our HSP and VSP to equal a speed based on that direction using length_x and length_y. If you remember my explanation of those functions from the previous parts. When we type HSP equals length_x, and I told you these were useful. And then we give it a length and a direction, okay? And we're going to say like 3 pixels in the direction that we've just set, comma, direction that we've just set, okay? So if we were hit.
Okay, so HSP equals length. I did it again. Okay, focus up. Length ERX. So it's going to be 3, comma, direction, 3, comma, direction, semicolon. Okay, cool.
Now work out how much horizontal speed we would need to move 3 pixels.
I'm glad you're doing great, Sarah. I'm glad you're doing great. I hope you're having a great time and a great day.
In that direction on the x-axis, and we're going to set that to our HSP. And then we do the same thing. Oops, copy, paste. And we're going to do the same thing with our vertical speed. So VSP equals length_y. Okay. So then we work out how much on the y-axis we need to do that exact same movement, and we just apply that to that, and then it'll give us kind of a movement in that direction. But I think it's kind of nice to always kind of give us a bit of an upward thrust when this instance dies, so to prevent
Sarah
it, like,
Wilde
being
said
shot
some
from above,
languages
like a
rely
shoe
on proper tabbing,
corpse into the
so
ground.
it
You
is
might
best
like
to
that,
learn it
I
from
don't
when
know.
you start coding.
I'm
So if
gonna
you ever
adjust
use
it,
these
I'm gonna add
languages such as
-2
Visual Basic,
on the
your
end of
code will
A.
just work.
Thank you. I didn't even know that. You know? I did not know that. It's like I said, this is about as much as I've ever done anything to this nature, but you know,
You can try
it
it
is what
without,
it is.
because it'll look different. It might look interesting.
But thank you very
If you
much
get
for
shot
letting
from
me know.
above, then, like,
Honestly,
you'll
I
just sort of
really do
instantly
truly.
flop rather than, like,
He's
doing
talking
a
and
little
I'm
sort of-
talking. I really and truly appreciate it more than you can possibly know. Especially because, like I said, I'm trying my best to make something. I'm trying to learn to do this because I want to make something. You know, like, you ever had that drive that you just want to. You just want to, like, you're stepping into, like, you're stepping into the pool, and, like, you don't know how to swim, but you know that you just need to get to the other side. That sounded a lot more epic than it really is.
Jump, but I like the little jumping deaths they do, so I'm going to always sort of subtract 2 from this, so that we always have a bit of upward vertical speed. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to do in here is set image x scale to equal sine HSP. Okay, so now that we have a horizontal speed, we know whether or not we're moving toward the right or towards the left, or I guess towards neither or all if it was absolutely, like, spot on 0, which you probably want to avoid. But as a very rare circumstance, that might be a bug we'll have to fix later on, depending on how often you get hit directly. If you got hit at, like,
which is horizontal speed.
Horizontal speed might equal 0. I suppose what you could do is, for safety, I suppose you could just say, like, if sine HSP.
I don't know what he's doing right this part.
does not equal 0, and then just stick that on the end of there instead, just to make sure.
Sarah
we don't
Wild
set
said
every
if you
check
want
to
to
0,
learn
otherwise
generic
that'd make
coding,
everything
Sam's Teach
invisible.
Yourself C in 21 Days is a great book. You can usually find it hosted by some education institutions for free. It uses Visual Studio 2, which is an industry standard IDE.
C++. Do they have an audio book for that? Because of my, I have I'm a audio visual learner. Like not so much in the sense of reading. Like I have to like literally. This is kind of like why I'm using YouTube tutorials. Is because that like I'm more of an audio visual learner. Like I have to hear it and actually be able to do it, like physically like touch it to learn these type of things. So reading it from a book isn't like the best way for me to personally learn. So if they have an audio book for it, that would be cool.
Sarah Wild said probably not. There is a bucket loads of code and examples.
Okay.
Sarah Wild said it's a thick one.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can always try and get it and see what happens. But like when it comes to my learning style of myself, I've always been more like if I could sit down, I could read something, but it won't really stick with me mentally. But if I'm sitting down physically doing it, like that's why I think YouTube is a godsend, especially, and that's why I know why it's the best, is now the second best world's biggest search engine, is because that, like, per people like me, I'm an audio visual, like I'm a audio, so I have to hear it, and I keep saying visual, so I could like it means I have to see it, but I can't think of the proper word for basically having to actually do it. So whatever the proper word is for me actually having to do it it's what helps it sticks in my mind more better than if it was just me doing it if it was just me doing it or reading about it. But I would definitely look into maybe getting it and then maybe I can try and see why is this doing this? See if I can possibly do something with it and learn about it. I don't know. It's just something from me being alive of me learning. If let's see, this is how I learn personally. It's that, and like I have ADHD, and so I kind of like to, you know, it kind of breaks my focus. I break my focus very easily when it comes to things.
Sarah Wild said I can usually teach C basics, which the book does, in around 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Let me see. Okay, that is a. You can teach it. See, that's the thing. That's why the way I'm doing it is why I'm doing it right now is that I'm hearing what the guy says, and then I'm repeating what he says to stream. And that's why I need to stream it, because I kind of want to do something that holds me accountable to what I'm doing. You know? So I does what he say, I repeat what he says usually.
Sarah Wild said I have 2 degrees in C.
Nice. So that's pretty awesome. Me, I have a degree in business. Or I like to say, I have a degree in BS. Business science is my degree. It was my degree in focus on human resources.
Okay, and otherwise we would just sort of default it to whatever it is, which is what facing to the right as standard. Okay.
So we do that.
It would be a very rare circumstance, but I suppose it's technically worth doing that. Okay, and that's the last thing we need to do there. So now if I press F5 and run that,
We go here, we run it.
we should find that we can shoot these, and they fall.
Oh,
and if I shoot
nice.
them from the other direction, you can see they behave as appropriate. And if I shoot them from above, you'll notice they don't quite fall as high as if I shoot them like from underneath, like that. You see them like right
Nice.
underneath there. Then
So we got this up.
So now they're based entirely on the last bullet that hits them. So the bullet that kills them will determine
That's
which
awesome,
way
people.
their
We were
body
able to
actually
get this
falls. All right.
up and going. It's
So
awesome.
I guess the last thing to do is kind of give these enemies a bit of movement, just so that they move around, and stationary targets are a bit easy, right? So let's go into our enemy, and where we create the enemy, let's just give them some horizontal speed. Okay, let's just give them a horizontal speed of 4.
Go here.
But do we want to how fast does the player move again? A walk speed. Oh, well, we already have walk speed in here because we copied it, but let's put it underneath and just set it to equal walk speed. And we'll have them move a bit slower than the player, so we'll change walk speed to... We'll change it to 2.
Okay, so we're going to change walk speed to...
No, actually we'll go with 3. No, you set it to whatever you want. I'm going with 3.
Okay,
so what I'll do is they'll just walk to the right now until they hit a wall, and then their HSP will equal 0.
Sarah Wild said I am currently using UE5.
Unreal Engine 5? Yeah, I would like to do that, but my computer is not powerful enough for that. Currently, my laptop is not powerful enough for that. I'm using a laptop to do all these things.
I mean, when we create...
I tried to start using, here's the thing. I tried to start using Unreal Engine 5, and it's my very first trying to learn anything, and on top of it, completely just being way too strong for my computer. It was really big and daunting. But I mean, I was learning a little bit from it, but it just got to a point where I was just like, I really didn't want to learn it. But I eventually want to be able to learn Unreal Engine 5. I really do want to learn how to do it, because I want to be able to create I want to be able to create 3D objects and 3D shows. Like this one right here, I'm learning. I gave myself a certain time frame. Hold on one second.
Where we create the enemy, let's just give them some horizontal speed. Okay, let's just give them a horizontal speed and a walk speed. Oh, well, we already have walk speed in here because we copied it, but let's put it underneath and just set it to equal walk speed. And we'll have them move.
So, I'm learning this because I want to be able to create a game for my wife on our mobile phone for our anniversary. That's my end goal. That is my game jam for the end of this all. Because she likes mobile games. I also want to learn how to do some basic coding, and this one I found out that this one does pretty good, and there are at least 3 games that are bouncing around in my head that I want to make. And each of them have some emotional value to me, but I want to create them. Maybe eventually one day you will be able to see them, but no, I'm not going to say eventually. No, I'm not saying maybe. Eventually one day you're going to see them, because I'm going to make them. They may not be the best, they may not be good, but I'm going to make them because I want to get them out there, because I want to create cool stuff. I want to create things. That is my goal. My first goal right now is to learn a little bit of this, and then eventually start trying to make something.
Move a bit slower than the player, so we'll change walk speed to...
I said all that to say that, yeah, I started with Unreal Engine 5, and then my computer couldn't handle it, and so I stopped trying to learn how to make a game.
Sarah Wild said I am making a 4D game. I limit the player to seeing just a cubular tunnel and rooms so I can use Z-axis as the 4th dimension.
That sounds really cool. It's like I had this idea of a game one time, right? And it was like I wouldn't say it was a 4D game. It was like a here, I'm not sure. Here, let me know. Let me know if you think this would even be possible. Like a game that involves you doing top down, allows you to rotate over, kind of like what's that game called? Pez or Fez? The game where it was a 3D environment, but it constantly shifted like this. So a game that allows you to go top down, then you can shift over to a 2D plane. and then you can flip over into a first person or a third person view. So it'll be like you'll start up like you can have like, and it'll be like almost like a puzzle slash shooting game. So like you would have puzzles that you'd have to do in the top down version, and then like in a top down area, and then you'll flip it over, and you have to continue in this in the 2D plane, and then you'll flip it over and go into a 3D plane. You know, something like that. So like that, kind of like a half box. I don't know. That's something I thought of one time. Something like that. But
Sarah Wild said that is possible but very hard.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But that would be something now. That would be something cool that I don't think I have seen, and it's kind of based off of like Pez. Or, I'm not sure if it was called Pez or Fez. I think it was called Pez. The game where the guy is on a 2D plane, but everything's 3D, so it flips. The dude had to create his very own game engine for it, and it would basically it would flip and then flip and then flip and then flip and then flip. Yeah, something like that. I thought would be pretty cool to do. It's almost like a. I keep doing it like this because I'm trying to think. It's like I don't know how exactly you would call that. What you would call that? I'm not sure you would call that a top-down 2D, 3D, a mixture or what. But I think that would be a pretty cool or interesting game. But what you said, the thing that works in a 4D plane, I think is really awesome. Is a really awesome idea too. Like, I personally can't see how that would. I can't see in my mind's eye how that would work. But I'm pretty sure in your mind's eye that it worked. That that is a really awesome thing that you're doing. That it's really awesome. And I'm not saying like, oh, I personally think it's pretty awesome.
Sarah
I just
Wild
don't know how
said
to
I
see
am
it.
working on level 2 now.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. Like the fact that you're able to work on level 2. I haven't even started on any of the ones that I want to, but I'm trying to learn how to do this. That's awesome though. Like legitimately awesome. But the game I want to make for my wife is literally just a cooking game, like a little cooking game where you can go around and make a little
Sarah
restaurant
Wild
and pay
said
people.
first level is just understanding, level 2 will be more platforms and avoidance.
Hmm. That sounds pretty cool. So it's kind of like, but yeah, obviously you have to have something of like a easy tutorial level first when you first start, and then you have to have another level. Then that's like basically the first level is always like zero level because you're trying to learn, but you want to give them source of obstacles so they're not bored. And it's not, so you don't want to say that it's a tutorial because a lot of people just skip tutorials and just jump straight in because people don't like to read the instructions.
Sarah Wild said I have sections where you go down multiple ramps and tubes, and end up back to where you are.
Mm-hmm. You know what it reminds me of? That what it sounds like it reminds me of is have you heard of the I'm not sure what they call it, but it's like a speedrunning thing where it's like
Sarah
triangles
Wild
and
said never actually going up anything.
never actually going up anything. Yeah. So like, have you heard of those things? I think they use a CS:GO format, and I think they even use the not Apex, the other game that Apex is based off of, with the one with the Mac. I forget what it's called right now. But they use CS:GO, and it's like triangles, and you all you have to do is control yourself going down it, and like kind of like almost like a luge, like a snow luge. Like like that Olympic sport luging where you got to go down that tunnel and shoot down it. It sounds something kind of like that, and you're just basically going down and luging down, and it sounds something like that. Almost, I would say, almost something like that. That's what's like. That's what I'm seeing right now. Is you being in a luge and you're going down something and flipping around and things to that nature. That's what I'm personally seeing. But like I said, I'm kind of gathering it. It seems cool though. Like it seems a really really cool
Sarah Wild
idea.
said I am no artist, so the game is literally white lol, no textures or models. I am using cubes to map the world out.
Hey, dude, I'm not no artist. I'm not no game designer. I'm not anything. I'm willing to learn. That whole thing of it is as long as you're willing to learn and put in the time and effort to learn, you might not be something right now, but eventually you can become it. I believe um, I'm not exactly sure who said this. I might have just made this. I just might have pulled this out. I might have just pulled this out of my butt. But here's like one of my firm beliefs. Here's one of my firm beliefs. You've learned everything that you've had. You've everything that you learned in your life. Everything in your life you had to learn. Only thing that you were able to do when you were first born was breathe. And some of the time, some people can't even do that. Everything else was learned. So unless it's breathing, don't expect to know how to do everything. So I don't know how to game. I don't know how to code games. I don't know. I don't know how to really draw or anything like that. But I'm always willing to learn, and I'm always willing to try, and I'm willing to put in the effort. That's the whole thing because I want to make cool stuff. So I'm pretty sure. So I'm about positive, Sarah, that it is awesome. What you're making is awesome, and you are awesome, and so therefore it is awesome. It doesn't matter if you're an artist or not. You can always hire somebody if you need to.
We'll change it to 2. Okay. No, actually, we'll go with 3. No, you set it to whatever you want. I'm going with 3. Okay, so what they'll do is they'll just walk to the right now until they hit a wall, and then their HSP will equal 0. But what we can do instead is basically just set HSP to equal negative HSP, right? And that will just flip the direction that we moved in. This isn't the cleanest, but we can do this in a slightly cleaner way, which I might show you in future episodes when we kind of explore making these enemies a bit better.
I'm gonna go here, and you're gonna put HSP equals negative HSP.
But this is the fastest way, just to show you very quickly how this works. So you see now, they walk, and whenever they hit a wall, they'll just flip and go in the other direction. That's probably about as basic as you can get for enemy movement, right? But it's functional. You can see all their animation stuff still works because it's the exact same code we use for the player.
Nice.
Even their fall animation and everything is on point.
That's actually really cool.
That's basically it. We don't have any way for them to touch the player and kill them or anything yet, but we'll probably come to that later on. This is probably where I'm going to leave it for this part because I think we've covered quite a lot of stuff. So I'll see you guys next time in part 5, 2 weeks from the day this goes live.
I did that.
Not next Friday, but the Friday afterwards. Thank you very
much. Hey, I did that, y'all.
Sarah Wild said I got checkpoints, 2 endings, multiple languages, save and load system, options menu, controller support, custom controls, secrets, Steam achievements.
So you just out there doing the dang thing, man. That's awesome, though. That's super, super, super cool. Super awesome, Sarah. Like, legitimately. That is really, really, really cool. Honestly. Like, I eventually will hopefully one time be able to get to that point where I can actually have these things here. Like, this is literally, but I do have to admit, Sarah, I am proud of what I got right here so far. It might not seem like much, but I got something here. I've only been using GameMaker for 4 days, and I have been able to make this. First time ever in my life I've been able to make something to this nature. I've done this. So what do you guys think? This is literally, hold on one second, let me get over here to you guys over here because you guys can't see. So over here on YouTube. So like this is what I got, guys. I made this. This is more than I say all that to say that
Sarah Wild said the thing I like the most is my footsteps. I programmed them to be on the foot hitting the floor, so sounds match the animation.
Nice. So I go here, pull this up, pull that up. Okay. So you've programmed, so you're doing all of that in Unreal, correct? So you're doing all of that in Unreal, which is awesome. So you're doing all of that in Unreal. That's pretty awesome, Sarah. Like, legitimately. That's super cool.
Sarah Wild said all in UE5, no real code.
No real code? So you're doing the...
Sarah Wild said all visual scripting.
Oh, so you're doing... Oh, yeah, so you're doing that thing where you connect the dot to the thing and you connect the line to the thing and it does the thing. That sounds so bad when I say to connect the line to the thing. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I mean, you're doing basically, hold on. Let me save this real quick. This. Let's just make a, no, wait. New project, let's just click. GML Visual, that's what it's called. Doing GML Visual. So, in other words, you're doing, let's see. Let's see, Sprite. Let's see. Boom, Sprite. Create an object. Select Sprite. Add event. Step. Visual coding. Okay. Actually, it should be a create event. Coding, don't ask again. You're doing this one right here. So let me see, what was it again? Keyboard press. Variable, that's not. Here, right? Basically this. This is what you're doing right here, right? I don't know enough to sit there and then truly say that I can make this and things like that, but yeah.
Sarah Wild said ish, you have most of the stuff available to you in C, but it's drag and drop bit like GML Visual.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. That's basically what that is, man. That's not half bad. I'm so happy that I have that.
Sarah Wild said I can create my own C functions too if I need to, and use them in visual mode.
So, if you don't mind me asking, C functions. What is C functions, if you don't mind me asking off top? So you can like those I'm just guessing. So you can create those bubbles things that I was just moving around in there like that. You can make your own personal ones? Or is it something completely different that I don't know about yet? That's what I'm going to wonder about. That's what I'm wondering about right now. Because I know this is code. I believe this is C++.
Sarah Wild said just regular CC code, or make your own drag drop things like you said.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay. That's cool. That's good to know. So you can make your own. That's actually really, really cool. But I mean, you have 2 degrees in it, so yeah. I mean, you've probably been at this. How long have you been working with coding and things like that? I'm pretty sure it's been some years, right?
Sarah Wild said I could in theory IS assembler.
In theory, IS assembler.
Sarah Wild said 2011.
Oh, nice. So you've been at it for a minute. That's cool, man. That's cool.
Sarah Wild said use assembler.
What's a symboler? I've never heard of that one. Like I said, this is only day 4 of me of coding. What is a symboler? I have to ask that.
Sarah Wild said the language used by the CPU directly.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. Oh, fly. Oh, that's really awesome, Sarah. Like, legitimately, that is super, super, super cool. Okay, so we made this. We are done with that. I think that's
Sarah Wild said such in MoveX, EBX.
no back CBS.
Sarah Wild said such as.
Mm-hmm. I figured as much. Oh, so like my files. Let me go here. If you can't tell, I also do play video games constantly, and I record myself playing them. So like the files are in these. So these files, you can create it so it makes it so that it talks to them. That it basically takes these files here and like the see you said the MV. So it's an item type file that says MV file. You can create the wording so the MV file talks directly to the GPU. So that's what you're talking. That's what you're referring to. So you can make the language that talks directly to the GPU. So like if it's a PI, if it's a JPEG, or if it's a MVU or MP4 or things like that, you can create those. That's what you're referring to. That's pretty awesome. That's super 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 cool. Like legitimately. Okay. So okay guys. So
Sarah Wild said some things can be done so much faster in direct assembly language.
I would like to say I would imagine so, but honestly, I'm trying to learn it. Like I'm just gonna take your word for it because I don't know exactly what it is, or at least I'm not knowledgeable enough to comment on it. Let me put it like that. So I will say that I have to take your word for it, and because I don't exactly understand it, but I would definitely just have to say that I have to take your word for it because that's pretty awesome. Okay, so let me go ahead and say these things. Okay, guys, so it is about that time. I do actually have to get off now. It's about 2 o'clock. I gotta go handle some business. But
Sarah Wild said I created a program which needed a divide by 2, so I bitwise operand to the right to move all the bits, which is an easy divide by 2.
actually, before I go, Sarah, I have a question for you. I heard this from somebody at one point in time that when it comes down to computers and it has the ability, like when it comes to computers, they have the ability to multiply and everything like that infinitely to a whole bunch of stuff, but they have a big issue with dividing, and that's why they have so many. That's why they have so many limitations when it comes down to certain processes and certain processes. I heard this from somebody who is much smarter than me. Is that true?
Sarah Wild said yes.
So here's a theory. Here's a question. If you can create a computer or a computer system or something like that that can divide by 2, that can divide infinitely, like it can multiply infinitely.
Sarah Wild said so divide takes a while to do, multiply is easy.
Okay, so let's say if you got a computer that can divide almost as easy as multiply, would that make that computer like one of the most powerful in the world? And if so, like, is that something you think that could be made and or done within our lifetime? Within the next 50, 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Because yeah, that's what I'm wondering. 'Cause that's why I heard from somebody a lot smarter than me.
Sarah Wild said if you want to divide by 2 and it's an even number you can bitwise shift. Sarah Wild said that will never happen.
That will never happen.
Sarah Wild said due to how divide is calculated.
So, what do you mean by that exactly? Like, if you have the ability to explain it, if you don't mind me asking. I'm all linked in and linked into the computer now. Like I don't know. I find things like this fascinating. Things that people say.
Sarah Wild said quantum computers can help, but the issue is how we divide.
So it's not dividing. It's the process of dividing is the issue. So if we found a more so. Hmm. So it's not the fact that it's not that it's possible, it's impossible, but the fact that it's impossible with the abilities or the languages that we have, not even languages, but the mathematical problems that we have now.
Sarah Wild said we divide by bitwise shifting, we need multiply and bit shift to divide complex numbers.
So, so I'm probably a little bit out my, no, it's definitely out my pay grade. But if you were to let's say, so here's a question. So the issue isn't so much the isn't the computer, it's the process. So that's the issue. It's not the computer, it's the process. The process of which it is being done is inefficient. So we would have to create. What is my cat doing? What's up, Royal? What are you doing?
Sarah Wild said 011 div by 2 is easy. 0011.
Oh, like a fraction of a problem. What are you doing? Hold on a second, my cat's calling me.
Sarah Wild said 0011 div by 2 is now more difficult.
Hold on one second, sir. DJ, you need to be let out. I had to take care of the cat. Cat wanted to say hi real quick. So, dividing by 2, but 001 divided by 2 is now more difficult. So you need somebody a lot more qualified than me.
Sarah Wild said 0001.0101 is the answer in simple terms using decimal points, but in reality it is this 1 second need to find it.
Now I feel like it's going over my head again. But I think I got it. The issue is not so much like I said, it isn't so much that it's the fact of dividing. It's the fact of dividing it's inefficient. And multiplication inefficient. It's the inefficiency of, or not even so much the ease, it's the ease. It's the fact that dividing can go into decimal points, basically, is what it sounds like. The fact that you can multiply, but you don't get fractions. No matter how many times you multiply, you don't get fractions. But if you divide enough times, you can't end up with a fraction. But no, that's wrong though, because you can end up with a fraction when you multiply as well. Because if you put a decimal point in any way in anything, it'll always have a decimal point in the end of it. So it can't be the fact of the decimal point of the fraction. It couldn't be the fact that it has a fraction in it that's the issue, because when it comes down to multiplication, you can have fractions as well. There's the fact of adding. It's easier. It's basically like saying that it's easier to add and subtract. Multiplication, all that is a fraction of multiplying the number by itself by so many times. So whereas division is nothing more but regressing the number by a certain amount of times by the certain number.
Sarah Wild said 0 0 triple 1 double 1 double 1 1 triple 0 triple 0 triple 0 triple 0 triple 0 triple 0 double 0 double 0. Sarah Wild said that's the number in a float.
What do you mean by that's the number in a float? I don't know exactly what that means. I'm still trying to work out how multiplication is easier than division. Because if it has...
Sarah Wild said that is 1.5 in binary.
1.5 in binary. Oh, yeah, okay, binary. That's something that one of my warrant officers was telling me about when I was in the military. He was telling me about binary. I didn't catch it all when he was talking to me about it, but that was something that he was definitely talking to me about. And he was talking to me about binary, that everything can be broken down into binary on the computer. And if you learned the whole binary language, that you have one of the biggest steps when it comes down to coding, or something to that nature.
Sarah Wild said 1 in binary is 1 or 0001 or 00000001, etc.
So 1 in binary. So then what is 0? Because isn't binary just a bunch of zeros and ones, correct?
Sarah Wild said just 0.
So 0 is just 0. So when you write something in binary, so hold on, let me do this. Yes, I use Google Chrome.
Sarah Wild said the CPU will see it in 0, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 bits.
Okay. So this right here. So 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. Okay.
Sarah Wild said that looks to be ASCII.
Okay. Says hello. Right. So it looks to be ASCII?
Sarah Wild said so, yeah, ASCII.
So what is ASCII? Is ASCII and binary two different things? So, let me find out real quick. Google it.
Sarah Wild said ASCII is a format for all the chars on the keyboard. Sarah Wild said defined by 8 bits.
American Standard Code information. Oh, okay. Okay, I got you. So So ASCII and binary are two different things then. Or is binary just another form of ASCII? Or is ASCII just a different way of saying binary?
Sarah Wild said no.
Okay, so is ASCII just a different way of like a don't know why did that happen. Like a
Sarah Wild said all wrong.
I'm all wrong. Ah. No. Oh, okay. All wrong. Okay, let me think. Okay, let me go back. So there's binary.
Sarah Wild said ASCII is how to encode the entire keyboard for QWERTY keyboards into binary.
Okay. Okay, okay. So yeah, what's that word? I mean, this might be showing my age, but a decoder ring. ASCII is a decoder ring for binary. That's how I'm kind of equating it in my board, equating it in my head.
Sarah Wild said if you give the CPU a 011000001 value it won't know what it is. Sarah Wild said it just sees a number.
Okay. So yeah, so ASCII is how it encodes the entire keyboard for QWERTY keyboard into binary. So yeah, it's a decoder. It's like a decoder ring. Like a decoder, like a decoder key thing. It That's how I'm equating it in my head. The way that I can equate it in my head to understand it a little bit better. So that's interesting. I never knew any of these things. So if you so is binary needed for things like what I'm doing right now? Is that going to be something that I'm going to have to learn for when it comes down to coding here? I don't think it will be, but I'm just asking. Let me close this down, close this. Granted, I don't know.
Sarah Wild said you will never need it.
Okay, that's good to know. Oh my goodness. Ain't that about a thing? Anyways, we went down that was a one heck of a rabbit hole. I think I started about with the computer and division, and you told me that how that would never be a thing.
Sarah Wild said unless you want to solve the Collatz conjecture.
What in the world is that? What is the Collatz conjecture? Is that like trying to solve for pi?
Sarah Wild said I have written a program to solve it that can do millions of calculations per second.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Sarah Wild said it is unsolvable.
Oh, let's look it up real quick. Not YouTube. Google. Collatz conjecture. The Collatz conjecture is a famous unsolvable math problem that states any positive linear will eventually reach 1 if you repeat it at two simple arithmetic operations. It is known as 3n plus 1 sequence. Okay, so it starts with a positive number. If the number is even, then divided by 2. The number is odd, then divide it by 3, and then add 1. Repeat this step as many times as possible. So why the complex conjecture is unsolvable? Not a theorem, which means there is no formatable proof. There's no formal way of proving how it is. Okay. Wikipedia is not the best thing for information, but what it is. One of the most famous unsolved problems was reach two-step arithmetic and would eventually transform into a positive higher integer of 1. Frequency is the same. Its concerned sequence of integers, which is each term obtained. If the term is even in the next one.
Sarah Wild said so with bitwise shift right. A divide which takes like 16 operations on the CPU now takes 1.
That seems interesting. So it's unsolvable. See, I don't understand that. In math, isn't math supposed to be a thing where you're able to solve anything within numbers and everything to that nature? That's why math is. Why do we use a process that has the ability to have things that are unsolvable? If we're using things for, if we're going to use things as a factor or a fact, why would you?
Sarah Wild said no.
But isn't that the point of math? Isn't the point of math is to have an understanding of something, and if something's unsolvable, if something is considered to be unsolvable, we don't have an understanding of it, therefore it's a theory.
Sarah Wild said math is a way to understand the universe.
Throw my whole perception of math and numbers in perspective, or in whack, I should say. Like I've always seen, because I've never been good with letters. I have dyslexia, and dysgraphia.
Sarah Wild said not everything is solvable, yet we can determine it to be unsolvable without solving.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. It's like here's my thing. I've always seen numbers as a indefinite. Mainly because, like I said, I've never been good with letters.
Sarah Wild said like we know Hawking radiation without going to a black hole.
Oh yeah. But haven't we been by, didn't something go by it to prove that that's an actual thing? Wasn't there something recently that just happened that proved something that was really considered to be too hard to prove? Like that? Like the Hawking radiation thing? I'm spitting stuff out the back of my mind. Hold on, let me.
Sarah Wild said nearest black hole is many light years away.
Yeah. And that's on that's a good thing. Because if it was too close, we would not exist. Hawking radiation. Black hole. Hawking radiation refers to a theory that refers to the theoretical emission of particles from a black hole periodically by Stephen Hawking, which occurs due to quantum effects near the black hole. Each horizon causes the black hole to gradually lose its mass and eventually evaporate over time. Essentially, the format is theorem. Okay. So, I mean, hmm. So, I mean, it still said it's theoretical, but we still able to, about talking without ever going to a black hole. Still says it's theoretical. Oh, words. Theoretical. Still a theory. A game theory. No.
Sarah Wild said we can evaluate these things thanks to maths.
Yeah. But like I said, I've always seen math as with an indefinite, maybe with an indefinite lens. So, yeah. Now knowing that, obviously I knew about these theories and things like that, obviously, because I like science. I'm a nerd. I like sciencey stuff. Why I'm trying to learn coding, but
Sarah Wild said don't look at fuzzy logic then.
I gotta look now. As you said, don't look at fuzzy logic. I'm going to look now. Is this something that I'm going to be afraid of? Should I? Let me. 1 second, hold on. Let me make sure I'm not going to pull up something crazy. Let's do this.
Sarah Wild said fuzzy logic confuses most math people.
Okay. I'm going to do this real quick and we're going to look up fuzzy logic. I like things that make me think. Okay. That's nothing too crazy. Okay. Fuzzy logic is a computer method that uses degrees of truth to handle partial truths in various
Sarah
vague
Wild
inputs.
said it's mro about AI.
It uses the artificial intelligence to mimic human reason and decision and conscious making. Fuzzy logic uses variables between 0 and 1 to repeat degrees of truth. It uses fuzzy settings, which are classes of objects and grades. It is used fuzzy rules in which calculate statement and related into input. The fuzzy logic operates with creating a new fuzzy.
Sarah Wild said fuzzy logic is something Data from Star Trek didn't have.
Oh, that's a deep cut. Oh man. Data. Data, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, that's a deep cut right there. That's awesome.
Sarah Wild said we can say about 12:30, Data would say 12:27.
Mm-hmm. We could say about 12:30. He would say because he has to be exact. He has to be exactly right because the actual truth of the matter is that it's actually 12:27. Your area is 2:27 in mine. Yeah. Okay. So I got you. So fuzzy logic. Oh, we can go down a whole thing of AI. Artificial intelligence. Do we actually even have that? Is it artificial intelligence or is it advanced intelligence? What's the other word? What's the other one? Not artificial intelligence, but it mimics human intelligence. Like it gives random And
Sarah
says,
Wild said AI has been able to self-replicate.
yeah, wait, didn't was it Google
Sarah
or
Wild said luckily it was contained.
was it Google or was it Facebook or it was one of the big tech companies that they had AI systems and then it started talking to itself. And then they had AI systems that started talking to itself in a language nobody else could understood, and then they hurry up and shut it down because they didn't know exactly what was going on or something to that nature. Wasn't it? I'm not sure who it was. It wasn't. I'm not sure if it was Google or Microsoft or something. I remember hearing about that, and I want to say almost like a couple of years ago now. I remember hearing about that. It was like a couple of years ago. I want to say it was a couple of years ago now that it was talking to itself in a different language that nobody could actually understand. The closer and closer to T1000. It's like that one. I look at AI like this. Like I always look at AI with this kind of idea. It's like if we actually ever get real good artificial intelligence, we're done for. Because if you give, I believe it was an experiment. I believe it was an animal experiment of some sort. If you give an animal, or let's say a rat,
Sarah Wild said we have it already.
yeah, then we're pretty much going to be screwed for it here pretty soon. Because if you give something like how did it go? If you give, let's say, a rat a button and he has two buttons and he knows if it does this one thing, it's going to the person's going to press this button. So say you have a rat, right? Has a button inside the thing, right? And if the rat does a certain thing, the human being presses a button, but the rat is able to reach the button. If it does that, if you do that enough, and then it receives good stimulus. So if you do that enough times, eventually the rat knows that, hey, rat will be like, hey, if I do this thing, I'm gonna get stimulus. But hey, I'm able to reach this thing, so let me go in and let me test. So it's gonna go and it's gonna test and press a button, and then it's gonna receive, let's say it's gonna receive food. It's like, oh, hey, I don't need that person to do it. So it's gonna go and push the button again and receive food, and go push the button again and receive food. Eventually, that rat is going to cut out the person pressing a button for it to receive food. So wouldn't that happen with AI? If it's going to be the most efficient thing? If all it does is receive good stimulus or receive information for what it does, eventually it's going to, like the Brainiac thing, like the Brainiac from Krypton, right? The whole reason he destroyed Krypton was because he wanted to make sure all the information that he had was finite. So he let Krypton be destroyed because he wanted it to be finite. That's why he captured planets, and that's why he goes, absorbs all the information of a planet, and then destroys it. Because he doesn't want new information to be created from that. So wouldn't that be the exact same thing AI does? Like if eventually, wouldn't it like create, it would want us to not create nothing else anymore, so it would have to contain all the information that it had eventually. I don't know. I don't want to be doom and gloom about it, but I mean it makes me think of a T1000 or like a Superman villain, things like that. I don't know.
Sarah Wild said some AI can do that already in controlled environments.
I don't know. But anyways, let me go ahead. I actually need to stop because I've been going on for 30 minutes, longer than I need to already. I want to say thank you to Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for coming to hang out, anything like that. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I live in the Philippines, so I stream usually from 12 to 2. I was just talking to you, so it was been pretty awesome to talk to. I want to say thank you to Big Jake over on YouTube. And so yeah, basically I gotta go and handle some things like that. But I will hopefully see you guys again. I'm gonna be back here again on Friday. We're gonna be moving on to the next area and trying to, when it comes down to game creation, everything like that. I'm really happy that you guys were here to enjoy this with me. I'm really happy I got to actually sit down and talk with people. I love to yap. I really do. I love to talk. I'm learning gaming, coding, everything like that. But I love to talk. I want to say once again thank you to Sarah for coming to hang out. I want to say thank you to Big Jake over there on YouTube coming to hang out. Anybody who came and hung out, just said hi. Thank you very much. It's been cool. I will, like I said, see you guys on Friday, 12 o'clock Philippine time. And yeah, thank you guys very much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Sarah Wild said cat